All right, so get ready, because today we're diving into the world of electronic saxophones.
Ooh,
Yeah, are you ready for this?
I am. I'm excited.
I think it's going to be really fascinating. We've got a whole stack of information about them, and we're going to learn how these instruments kind of transform music over time and about the people who really spearheaded this whole sonic revolution.
Yeah, it's pretty cool to see how electronic saxophones kind of emerged right alongside electronic music itself. Like in the 60s and the 70s, you had all these electric guitars and amplifiers and effects pedals,
Yeah.
kind of creating this totally new sound, this raw sound.
They were kind of like the pioneers of that whole movement, weren't they?
They were
The electric guitars,
totally,
like
yeah,
just really just rock and roll.
exactly.
And so I bet saxophonists were probably looking at them like, wait a minute, like,
Yeah,
we want to do that too.
right.
We want to,
How can we get in on this?
yeah, what about us?
Exactly.
We want to push the boundaries too.
Right, and they started to by attaching microphones and effects to their acoustic saxophones.
Oh,
So like a good example is Eddie Harris and his baritone system.
interesting.
But it was a challenge, wasn't easy
Mm.
because capturing the nuance of breath and embouchure,
Right?
that's really what makes a wind instrument sing.
Yeah, it's like a very subtle thing, right?
Very subtle. Yeah, it's like
It's like a whisper almost.
yes, and it's very responsive to those very tiny changes. So it was a huge technical challenge back then.
I see.
Um, and the goal wasn't always to create a brand new instrument, but to kind of just enhance what the acoustic saxophone could already do.
Right.
So you can kind of think of it like adding a turbocharger to a classic car.
Uh-huh.
You're getting more power, but you're not fundamentally changing the car.
Right.
So that kind of laid the groundwork for something much bigger, a real game changer, which was the Synthophone.
Oh, the Synthophone.
Yeah, developed by Sigurd Rascher in the 1980s.
The Synthophone. Okay, this was big, right?
It was big.
I heard it didn't even have a reed.
That's right. No reed. So instead of a vibrating reed generating the sound, the Synthophone used sensors
Wow.
to detect finger position and breath pressure. And here's where it gets really interesting.
Go on.
It converted those actions into MIDI signals. So it was essentially speaking the language of synthesizers.
Whoa.
Yeah,
Okay. So for those of us who don't speak synthesizer, which is MIDI,
Yeah.
can you break down what MIDI is?
Sure. So MIDI is basically like a universal language that all electronic instruments can understand.
Uh-huh.
So it allows instruments, computers, synthesizers, all to communicate with each other.
Okay.
So with the Synthophone, a saxophonist could suddenly control any synthesizer sound you could imagine.
Wow.
They could sound like a trumpet, a whole string section,
Really?
or create completely new sounds, never before heard sounds.
Like outer space sounds or something?
Exactly, yeah.
Wow.
Wild stuff.
So that was like really kind of revolutionary.
It was.
It really expanded the palette that you could play with
Yeah, really expanded the possibilities.
as a saxophonist.
Yes, exactly.
So I'm guessing other companies were watching this happening.
Oh, yeah. They were watching very closely.
So they're like, oh,
Yeah,
we need to get in on this.
we got to get on this.
Yeah.
So Yamaha, they were a big player, right, in music.
Yes.
They came onto the scene in the mid-1980s with their WX7. And it wasn't exactly trying to be a saxophone. It was more like a wind controller.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So they were kind of looking at it from a different angle.
Yeah, a little bit different. They were really focused on how to translate the nuances of a wind player's technique into electronic signals.
Okay.
The WX7 had breath sensors.
Uh-huh.
It even had bite sensors, so you could really control a lot of different parameters of the sound.
That's cool. I wonder like how they came up with that idea.
I know, right? It's really interesting.
Like I wonder if somebody was just like messing around and they're like,
In the lab, yeah, just like
yeah, just like blowing on something and biting it. And they're like, wait a minute,
exactly like, oh,
we can use this.
it does something. But it all comes back to that same idea of capturing that expressive quality of traditional instruments, but in a digital format.
Right.
All right.
It seems like that was a big challenge for people.
Yeah, it was a key challenge, and Yamaha didn't stop there. They also developed the VL1 virtual acoustic synthesizer.
Okay.
And this was really good at creating really realistic instrument sounds.
So you play like a trumpet sound on your saxophone.
You could play like a violin or a cello,
Really?
all controlled by your breath.
Wow.
That's pretty cool.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
So I'm guessing a lot of people who are already saxophonists were excited about that because it's like, well,
yeah.
I don't have to learn how to play, a
Exactly.
whole other instrument.
Right.
but I can make it sound like that.
Exactly. And Yamaha was really giving wind players access to an entire orchestra at their fingertips.
Pretty cool.
Yeah, and that kind of brings us to the next development, which is the Yamaha WX11,
Okay.
released in 1991. This was kind of a refined version of the WX7,
Gotcha.
and this one really started to gain some popularity.
The WX11.
Okay.
Yeah. This one was pretty popular.
Yeah.
What made it so popular?
Well, it was a few things. It had improved sensors,
Okay.
so it was even more responsive to the player's nuances.
Gotcha.
But it was also because by then, Yamaha had developed a whole bunch of synthesizers and tone generators that worked really well with the WX11.
I see.
So it was kind of like a whole ecosystem.
So they had built this whole, like, world around this instrument.
Yeah, it was like a whole world of sounds.
Very smart.
Yeah.
So they were really kind of thinking ahead with that.
They were, and some of the biggest names in jazz and fusion started using it, people like Michael Brecker and Bob Mintzer,
Oh, wow.
and they really showcased what it could do on a global stage.
Yeah. They were very innovative players, weren't they?
Very innovative, always pushing the boundaries.
Yeah.
But the story doesn't end with Yamaha. We got to talk about another innovator, Akai, and their EWI, the electronic wind instrument.
Oh, yeah. The Akai EWI. Okay. So what was different about that one?
Well, this one looked different.
Okay.
Yeah, it took a big departure from the saxophone shape. It had this really futuristic design, and instead of regular keys, it had touch-sensitive ones.
Touch-sensitive one.
Yeah.
Okay. And what did that do?
That allowed for even more expressive control.
Okay.
So you could slide your fingers between notes, to get those really smooth transitions.
Yeah.
Or you could use the pressure of your touch to, like, shape the dynamics of the sound.
Wow.
It was really cool. And remember Michael Brecker,
Yeah.
the jazz innovator we talked about before? He was one of the first to really embrace the EWI.
You like that one?
He loved it. He loved the fact that it could create sounds that were totally different from a traditional saxophone.
Right. It's like a whole other thing.
Totally. A whole other thing.
So they were really breaking the mold with that one.
Yeah, they were pushing the boundaries of what a wind instrument could even be.
And the sounds it could make.
Yeah, exactly.
That's cool.
Yeah, it's this constant tension, between tradition and innovation.
Right.
Replicating the familiar, but also venturing into the unknown.
It's a dance.
Yeah, it's a dance.
Between the past and the future of music.
Exactly. And that dance keeps evolving with each new generation of these instruments. And speaking of which, in 2016, another big player joined the game, Roland, with their Aerophone.
Oh, yeah, the Aerophone.
Yeah.
Okay, so what do they do?
Well, they wanted to create something different, an electronic sax that could stand on its own
Okay.
without needing a separate synthesizer.
Right.
So they packed the Aerophone AE10 with a bunch of built-in sounds, all kinds of realistic saxophone sounds, soprano, alto, tenor, baritone. They even threw in some clarinet and flute, and then a whole bunch of synthesized sounds, too.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So it was like having a whole bunch of instruments in one.
It was like a whole wind instrument collection in one portable package.
Cool.
Yeah.
But did it still feel like a saxophone?
That was the cool part. They
Yeah.
made sure of that. They combined that familiar saxophone fingering system with a breath sensor for expressive dynamics and even a bite sensor for vibrato and pitch bends. And to really top it off, they gave it a brass bell.
Oh, cool.
So it looks and feels even more like a traditional saxophone.
So they were like, we still want people to like feel comfortable.
The feel familiar.
Yeah.
It's
With the
like
way it feels
fun.
in their hand.
Exactly.
Cool.
Yeah, and they didn't stop with that one model either.
Oh, it didn't?
No, they kept innovating. They released the Aerophone Pro later on,
Okay.
the AE30, which had even better sound quality, even more ways to connect to other devices.
Wow.
Like it even has Bluetooth MIDI, so you can connect it to your computer or your tablet wirelessly.
That's cool.
Yeah, it's really cool.
And use it with all kinds of software.
All kinds of music software. Yeah, and then they also introduced the Aerophone Grugo,
Okay.
which is more affordable and even more portable, so it's perfect for beginners or anyone who just wants something really compact.
Cool. So they were really thinking about all the different kinds of players.
They were thinking about everybody.
Yeah.
Yeah, from pros to beginners and everyone in between.
It's really cool to see how far these instruments have come from like the early days
Yeah.
when they were just like modifying acoustic saxophone.
I know, it's amazing.
Yeah.
But speaking of, tradition meeting technology, Yamaha was busy too.
Oh, they were still in the game.
Oh yeah, they were not out of the game.
Okay.
In 2020, they came back with a really interesting focus. They wanted to recreate the authentic feel of an acoustic saxophone,
Oh,
but still incorporating all this digital technology. This was the YDS series,
yeah.
and it was designed for everyone, really experienced saxophonists and newcomers, too.
So they were trying to get all the best of both worlds.
Yeah, the best of both worlds, that familiar feel of the acoustic instrument, but with the huge sonic palette of a digital one.
Right.
So the YDS 150 was their flagship model, and it used a really interesting hybrid design. They combined a durable plastic body with a real brass bell,
Interesting.
which gave it a weight and a resonance very similar to an acoustic saxophone.
Oh, wow.
And get this, they brought back the mouthpiece and the reed.
Wait a minute.
Yeah.
You actually blow into a reed.
You do. You actually blow into a reed.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
So different from what we were just talking about.
Yeah, totally different approach. They realized that a lot of saxophonists really love the feel of that vibrating reed.
Right.
And that direct connection it gives you to the sound.
Yeah, it's like a very physical, tactile kind of thing.
It's very tactile, exactly, and that's hard to replicate with just sensors alone.
Yeah.
But they didn't abandon the sensors completely. They also included a breath sensor for expressive control.
Uh-huh.
So you still have that dynamic responsiveness you get with electronic instruments.
So it's like a hybrid?
It is a hybrid.
Like you were saying before. That's really cool.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
So it's kind of like for people who aren't ready to fully let go
Yeah, exactly.
of the acoustic saxophone.
Exactly, for those who want like a familiar feel but with the added possibilities
Right.
of the digital world.
Did they have like a more affordable version too?
They did. In 2023, they released the YDS 120, which had a lot of the same features,
Okay.
but it was lighter and more compact.
Gotcha.
So perfect for students or anyone who wants something more portable.
It's so cool to see how much variety there is out there now.
I know, it's amazing.
From those like early experiments
Yeah.
to these like really complex instruments.
It's remarkable how far they've come.
Yeah, it really is.
Yeah.
And it seems like that drive to blend the acoustic with the electronic,
Yeah.
it's still continuing.
It's still driving innovation, absolutely.
Yeah. But where do we go from here? What's next?
Well, that's the really exciting part. The possibilities are pretty much limitless.
Yeah.
Yeah, we've got all these advancements in technology happening all around us. Artificial intelligence, incredible sound modeling capabilities, and all of this is going to have a huge impact on electronic instruments.
I can only imagine
Yeah.
what it's going to be like in a few years.
I know, right? It's exciting to think about.
Yeah. What are some like concrete things that you think
Yeah.
could happen?
Okay, so imagine an AI that can analyze your playing in real time
Yeah.
and suggest harmonies or counter melodies that perfectly complement what you're playing.
Whoa, that'd be pretty cool.
That would be amazing, wouldn't
Like
it?
you're playing with like a,
Yeah, like an AI bandmate.
yeah.
Or what if you could use your electronic saxophone to control virtual instruments in a fully immersive VR environment?
Wow.
How cool would that be?
That's like next level.
Next level, yeah.
It sounds really cool.
It's really exciting.
Yeah.
And it's not just about creating new sounds. AI could also be used to help musicians learn and improve their technique.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so imagine like a virtual sax teacher
Okay.
that can analyze your playing and give you personalized feedback and guidance.
Wow, that would be amazing.
Wouldn't that be amazing?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like the line between musician and technology is blurring
Yeah, in a good way.
in a really cool way.
Yeah, it's like they're coming together
Yeah, exactly.
to help you be even more creative.
Exactly. That's the whole point.
But it does raise a question, though.
Yeah.
Will electronic instruments eventually, like, completely replace traditional instruments?
That is the big question, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's been debated for a long time.
Yeah.
While electronic instruments offer all these amazing possibilities, traditional instruments, they have such a rich history.
Right.
And a unique sound
Yeah.
that's really hard to perfectly replicate. So I think ultimately both types of instruments will continue to exist.
Yeah.
And they'll inspire each other.
Right. It's like, why limit yourself?
Exactly. It's
Oh,
like
yeah.
having different colors on an artist's palette.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You don't want to just paint with one color.
Exactly. You want the whole spectrum.
Right. So the future of electronic saxophones and all electronic instruments in general
Yeah.
seems really bright and exciting.
It's full of potential.
Yeah, and it's really all about expanding the possibilities of musical expression.
That's what it's all about. Absolutely. And it all goes back to that initial question. What if we could have a saxophone that could sound like anything?
Yeah.
That simple idea really ignited this technological revolution
Yeah,
that we're still seeing unfold today.
it's crazy.
It really
And
is.
we've seen so many different approaches to it, right? Like
Yeah,
the
yeah.
reedless synthophone,
Right.
the touch-sensitive EWI,
Yeah.
the hybrid design of the YDS series.
It's amazing.
Each one is kind of like a step forward.
Yeah. Each one is bringing us closer to that perfect blend of acoustic expression and electronic versatility.
And now with AI and advanced sound modeling,
Oh, yeah.
it feels like the possibilities are truly endless.
It's mind-blowing to think about.
Yeah. I mean, imagine creating a saxophone sound that's totally unique to you.
Yeah, like tailored to your playing style. Or using your breath to control virtual instruments in ways we can't even imagine yet.
Right.
It's like the future of music is being written right now.
Yeah. And electronic saxophones are right at the forefront of that.
Absolutely. They're playing a huge role.
It's not just about jazz and fusion anymore either, right?
No, not at all.
Like they've made their way into so many other genres.
Yeah, you hear them in pop rock, electronic dance music, even film scores.
They're everywhere.
They really are. It's amazing.
It's so cool.
And it just shows you the power of innovation
Yeah.
and the enduring appeal of the saxophone.
It's such an expressive instrument.
It really is. There's something about the sound
Yeah.
that just connects with people.
Totally.
And with all these technological advancements,
Yeah.
I have no doubt that we'll see even more creative uses for electronic saxophones in the years to come.
It makes you wonder, like, what's next?
Yeah.
What's the next big breakthrough?
I know, right?
Will we see electronic saxophones that can learn and adapt to a player's improvisations in real time?
Oh, that would be incredible.
Or maybe even compose music alongside the musician?
Oh, wow.
That would be wild.
That would be next level.
Yeah.
It's hard to even imagine.
Yeah, I know.
But I'm sure someone out there is already working on it.
Probably. Somewhere in a lab,
Exactly.
tinkering away.
That's how it always starts.
yeah?
Yeah, with a spark of an idea.
That's so cool.
And then who knows where it leads?
You
It's
know?
an exciting time to be a musician,
Absolutely.
especially if you're into electronic instruments.
So for all you listeners out there,
Yeah.
if you're curious about electronic saxophones,
Definitely check them out.
I encourage you to go explore.
Yeah, dive into the music.
Listen to different artists.
Yeah.
See what they're doing with these instruments.
You might be surprised by what you discover.
Totally.
And who knows, maybe you'll even be inspired to create some groundbreaking music of your own.
Yeah.
The only limit is your imagination.
That's the beauty of it.
It really is electronic saxophones. They're just like any other form of musical expression. They offer a canvas for endless exploration and discovery.
It's been amazing
It has.
learning about all of this.
I agree, it's been a fascinating journey.
Yeah, so thanks for joining us on this deep dive
Yeah, thanks for listening, everyone.
into the world of electronic saxophones.
We hope you enjoyed it as much as we did.
That was really fascinating.
It was so cool to see how it all evolved.
Yeah, from those early modifications
Yeah.
to these really sophisticated instruments we have now.
Yeah, it's a testament to how much people wanted to blend that saxophone sound with all the possibilities of electronics.
Yeah, it all started with that simple question. What if we could make a saxophone that could sound like anything?
Right, and that question really sparked a whole technological revolution.
It did.
And it's still going strong today.
It's crazy. And we saw so many cool approaches to answering that question, right?
Mhm.
Like the Synthophone with no reed,
Hmm.
the EWI with the touch-sensitive keys,
Yeah.
the hybrid design of the YDS series.
Yeah, each innovation kind of brought us closer to bridging the gap between the acoustic and electronic worlds.
And now with artificial intelligence and all this advanced sound modeling,
Yeah.
it feels like we're just scratching the surface of what's possible.
Yeah, imagine being able to create a totally personalized saxophone sound,
That would be so cool.
tailored to your own playing style, or using your breath to control virtual instruments in ways we can't even imagine yet.
Yeah, it really does feel like the future of music is happening right now.
It is.
And electronic saxophones are a big part of it.
They're helping to shape the future of music.
Yeah, and it's not just about jazz and fusion anymore.
No way.
They're showing up in all sorts of genres now.
Yeah, you hear them in pop rock, electronic dance music, even film scores.
It's amazing.
It's pretty wild.
They're everywhere.
It's a testament to how versatile these instruments are.
Yeah, and as technology keeps evolving, who knows what incredible things we'll see.
Yeah, what's next?
Right, like what's the next big breakthrough?
I can't wait to find out.
Will we see electronic saxophones that can learn and adapt to a player's improvisations in real time?
That would be something else.
Imagine that, like you're just jamming and the instrument is like right there with you,
That would be amazing.
evolving with you.
Like a true musical partner.
Yeah.
Wow.
Or maybe they'll even be able to compose music alongside the musician.
That's a wild thought.
I know, right?
Like a co-creator.
Yeah, it's mind-blowing to think about.
Yeah, it really is. But you know what? I bet someone's already working on it.
Probably.
Somewhere out there in a lab,
Yeah,
someone's got that spark of an idea and they're tinkering away.
yeah. That's how it always starts.
That's the beauty of it all.
Yeah.
The possibilities are endless.
That's what makes it so exciting.
It really is an exciting time to be a musician, especially if you're into electronic instruments.
Yeah, so to all of you listeners out there,
Yeah.
if you're even a little bit curious about electronic saxophones,
Go explore.
go listen to some music.
Yeah, dive into that world.
Yeah. See what these amazing artists are doing with these instruments.
You might be surprised by what you find.
Yeah. And who knows, maybe you'll be inspired to create some incredible music yourself.
The only limit is your imagination.
Wow, this has been a blast.
Yeah.
I've learned so much
Me too.
about electronic saxophones.
It's been a fascinating journey.
So thanks for joining us on this deep dive into the world of electronic saxophones.
Yeah, thanks for listening, everyone.
We hope you enjoyed it.
We'll see you next time.